This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
July 16, 1863 was a proud day in the history of the regiment when Governor Andrew presented the 55th Massachusetts with its colors, its national and state flags. Andrew's presentation marked the formation of the 55th's first color guard, the heart and soul of the regiment. The flags were the most cherished symbol of a regiment and a critical marker on the battlefield. In the midst of the battlefield's smoke and confusion, the highly visible flags were often the only means troops had of determining their location, whether they were to advance or retreat. Capture of the flags by the enemy could disorganize and demoralize a regiment, and any soldier worthy of his fellow troops would be willing to die to protect his regiment's colors. The color guard was led by the color sergeant, a soldier carefully selected for his courage and discipline under fire, who was accompanied by a guard of distinguished corporals. Just once in a regiment's term of service, the day when its flags were first issued, a soldier was named color sergeant without showing prowess in battle. Once named, the color sergeant retained his office unless he failed in some way or was seriously wounded or killed, an event that was sadly common. In battle, the color guard would be in the midst of the heaviest fighting, and the color bearer, whether the color sergeant, a corporal of the color guard, or another soldier who took the colors from a fallen comrade, was a prime target for the enemy. It was not uncommon for multiple color bearers to be wounded or killed in a single battle. Smith's career in the 55th Massachusetts would climax in the color guard. The presentation ceremony signaled that the 55th's time to depart Camp Meigs was near, but Secretary of War Edwin Stanton and Governor Andrew disagreed about where the regiment was to be deployed. Stanton wanted to send it to an area in great need of troops, particularly southern Louisiana. Andrew favored sending the regiment to New Bern, North Carolina, where it would serve under Brigadier General of Volunteers Edward A. Wild, a physician turned infantry commander. Wild, a noted Massachusetts abolitionist, had recently organized his African Brigade of former slaves in North Carolina. Andrew believed that under Wild's command, the soldiers of the 55th Massachusetts would be allowed the opportunity to demonstrate their equality to white troops in combat. This matter was important to Andrew, not only as a politician who needed this experiment to succeed, but also as an abolitionist who wanted to press for equal treatment and rights for black Americans. He considered it essential, therefore, to prevent these regiments from being placed under the control of commanders who considered black troops inferior and might not allow them to participate in combat. Andrew exerted his considerable political influence and prevailed. On July 16th, Stanton acceded by telegram. The 55th Massachusetts is to go wherever Governor Andrew wants it to go. I understand he wants it to go to New Bern. On July 17th, Colonel Hollowell ordered the regiment to be ready to depart Camp Meigs on July 20th. The 55th was to march to New York City and board a steamer for New Bern. 3 days' rations were distributed, but then departure was delayed. Northern racism, long simmering just below the surface, had erupted in an orgy of violence, the New York City draft riots. After learning of the depredations of the mobs and crimes against members of their race, the men of the 55th Massachusetts were, Major Fox recorded, carefully drilled in street firing and eager to march through New York and exact vengeance on anyone who dared attack them. The Lincoln administration decided the 55th Massachusetts would not depart from New York, and on July 21st, Smith boarded a train to Boston with the regiment. Local authorities, concerned about the potential for public acts of violence, canceled a review on Boston Common by Governor Andrew. Instead, Smith marched with his fellow soldiers through the streets of Boston in the rain with their muskets loaded, bayonets fixed, and 5 extra rounds. The excessive caution was unnecessary. Fox saw no signs of disapprobation made by the spectators who thronged the route of the regiment, and frequent cheers and applause greeted them. The men marched and appeared well. The 55th reached Boston Harbor without incident. Once on the dock, to avoid an accidental discharge of his loaded weapon, Smith fired his musket into the harbor in unison with his